I've asked myself again and again whether it would have been better if we hadn't gone into hiding, if we were dead now and didn't have to go through this misery, especially so that others could be spared the burden. But we all shrink from this thought. We still love life, we haven't yet forgotten the voice of nature, and we keep hoping for everything. This was an entry in the Diary of Anne Frank on May 26, 1944. Imagine living in a world where being yourself and doing as you please was literally a crime. Anne Frank became a memorable hero, and I hope that throughout my speech you will find the same inspiration as I did. Anne was born on June 12, 1929, in Frankfurt, which was in Germany. Her mother was Edith Hollander, and her father was Odo Frank. For 2 imperishable years, Anne and her family secretly hid in an attic apartment behind her father's family business. The attic wasn't much bigger than a typical living room most of us have today. Anne occupied her time writing her struggles, dreams, and the latest Nazi news in her very own diary. Sadly, on August 4, 1944, just 3 days after Anne had written her last entry, the German secret state police, also known as the Gestapo, raided their hiding place and everyone was arrested. The Franks were taken to the Gestapo headquarters where they were interrogated and held overnight. The next day, they were sent to the House of Detention, which was an overcrowded prison. 2 days later, they were transported to Westerbork, which was the holding area by the Nazis. On September 3rd, the Franks were sent off to Auschwitz. What they thought was their final transport turned into a 3-day-long journey. The men were forcibly separated from their women and their children. Women were stripped naked, had their heads shaved, and were tattooed an identifying number on their forearm. By day, women were to slave and was forced to haul rocks and dig rolls and rolls of sod. By night, they were crammed into overcrowded barracks of over 500 people. In March 1955, the typhus epidemic spread through the camp. This killed nearly 17,000 prisoners, including Anne, on April 15, 1945, just a few weeks before the camp was liberated by the British troops. Anne's story lives on today through her published diary that her father had published for her, called The Diary of Anne Frank. Anne Frank's story of her life is representative of just 1 out of 6 million whose were ended by the Nazis.